The desert between Las Vegas and Reno is a graveyard of forgotten things. Rotting billboards, sun-bleached cattle bones, and the occasional rusted husk of a car that strayed too far from the interstate. But nothing haunted the truckers who braved Nevada's Highway 77 more than the girl at Echo Valley Gas. Roy Pullman first saw her on a sweltering August night in 2012. He'd been hauling a load of PVC pipes from Phoenix, his CB radio crackling with warnings about a dust storm closing in. When his fuel gauge dipped below a quarter tank, he spotted the flickering neon sign, Echo Valley Gas Diner 24 HRS. The diner was a relic of the 1950s, cracked vinyl booths, a jukebox playing Patsy Cline on loop, and a waitress named Darlene who looked like she'd been poured into her leopard print uniform. Roy slumped onto a stool, ordered coffee, and noticed Darlene staring past him out the window. "You see her yet?" she asked, lighting a Virginia Slim. "Who?" "The girl, out by the old pumps. She's been there every night this week." Roy squinted through the grimy glass. Across the highway, beneath the corpse of the Echo Valley gas sign, stood a figure. A teenage girl in a dripping yellow dress, her hair plastered to her skull, her face tilted toward the diner. "What's she doing out there?" Darlene exhaled smoke. "Waiting. Every trucker dumb enough to check on her disappears. Old Bill Hendricks went over Monday. His rig still parked out back, keys in the ignition." Roy snorted. "Probably ran off with some lot lizard." But as he sipped his coffee, he couldn't look away. The girl didn't move, didn't blink. Her smile was a pale scar in the moonlight. "Screw it," Roy muttered, tossing a $5 bill on the counter. "I'll get her inside before the storm hits." Darlene didn't stop him. The desert air smelled of ozone and creosote as Roy crossed the highway. Up close, the girl's dress wasn't just wet. It was rotting, the hem frayed and streaked with algae. Her fingers curled like dead roots. "Hey, kid," Roy called. "You need a ride?" The girl's head snapped toward him. Her eyes were black pits. "Help me." The voice wasn't hers, it was Roy's, a perfect mimic down to his West Virginia drawl. Roy stumbled back. The diner's neon sign fizzed out. His rig's headlights died. Darkness swallowed everything but the girl's smile, now stretching impossibly wide, splitting her cheeks with a wet rip. He ran. By dawn, Roy was 100 miles north, guzzling whiskey in a Reno motel. He never spoke of that night. But 3 days later, another trucker vanished. Then another. By 2016, Echo Valley Gas was a ghost story traded on CB channels and Reddit threads. Truckers claimed the girl followed them for miles, her face reflected in their rearview mirrors. Others swore she whispered their childhood fears in their own voices. Then came Marcus Cole. Marcus was a 24-year-old TikToker hauling frozen shrimp to Reno. He'd live-streamed most of the trip, singing along to Post Malone, ranting about his ex, but his followers perked up when he mentioned Echo Valley. "Yo, chat, should I check out the ghost girl?" He grinned, swigging a Red Bull. "Let's get this to 10K likes and I'll do it." The likes flooded in. At 2:17 a.m., Marcus's dashcam captured the abandoned gas station. The girl stood exactly as Roy had described, yellow dress, dripping hair, smile sharp enough to cut glass. "Dude, she's real." Marcus laughed nervously. "Should I?" Screw it. Hey girl, you need help?" The dashcam showed Marcus hopping out, phone in hand. The girl didn't move until he was 10 feet away. Then her head tilted, her mouth opening to reveal rows of needle-like teeth. "Marcus," she crooned in his voice. "Stay with me." The screen glitched. When it cleared, the girl was inside the cab, her back to the camera, water pooling around her bare feet. "What the f—" Marcus's scream cut off as the girl's hand, grey and bloated, reached for the steering wheel. The live stream died. Marcus's rig was found idling in the desert, the cab reeking of pond scum. His phone lay on the seat, looping the dashcam footage. When police tried deleting it, the file regenerated. His final TikTok, uploaded posthumously, showed a close-up of the girl's face. Caption, "She's in the back seat." In 2020, true crime podcaster Lila Torres dug into the legend. Her research led to the 1972 disappearance of Clara Voss, a 16-year-old who'd vanished after a swim in Echo Valley Lake. The lake was drained in 1985, Lila told her mic, scrolling through microfiche at the Carson City Library. Toxic algae blooms. But here's the weird part. Clara's sister, Edith, told police Clara came home the night she died. Edith, now 68, agreed to a Zoom interview. Her face filled the screen, gaunt and wary. Clara walked into our bedroom soaking wet, Edith whispered. She said, "The lake's hungry, Edie. It wants more." Mum found her the next morning, or what was left. Just her yellow sundress, soaked and laid out on her bed like a body, and the smell, like dead fish and gasoline. Lila's listeners went wild. That Halloween, Lila drove to Echo Valley. "I'm confronting the legend tonight," she announced, mounting her GoPro. "If you're watching this, well, wish me luck." The girl stood waiting. "Clara?" Lila called, voice trembling. "We know what happened. Let us help you move on." The girl's head jerked toward the camera. Water gushed from her mouth, black, viscous, alive, as her jaw unhinged. The GoPro shorted out. Lila's body was never found, but her final podcast episode, uploaded automatically, contained a 3-second clip, the girl's face pressed against the lens, hissing, "You're next." The state bulldozed Echo Valley Gas in 2022, but the girl didn't care. She'd always preferred the road. Javier Cruz learned this the hard way. A father of 3 hauling diapers to Phoenix, Javier ignored the warnings. "Ghost stories are for kids," he told his wife over the phone. "I'll be home by..." The headlights died. In the rearview mirror, a flash of yellow. Javier hit the gas, but the engine only whined. "You forgot me," giggled a voice from the back seat, his youngest daughter's voice. Javier froze. Slowly he turned. The girl sat cross-legged, water dripping onto his daughter's car seat. Her smile split her face ear to ear. "Let's go home," she whispered in his wife's voice. Javier's rig was found idling in a ditch, the cab flooded with algae-choked water. His phone had one outgoing call, a 3 a.m. voicemail to his home. "I'll smile for you soon," rasped the girl, as Javier screamed in the background. Today the desert hides its secrets well. The diner's boarded up, the lake bed's a cracked wasteland. But if you drive Highway 77 at night, you'll see her, a flicker of yellow in your periphery. She's learning. Last month, a Tesla driver reported her face glitching into his autopilot screen. A family van's baby monitor picked up her laughter. And in Reno, a bartender swears a soaked yellow dress crawled out of his sink drain. But the truckers still talk. They say the girl's not alone anymore. Sometimes, shadows stand beside her, tall figures with Roy's beard, Marcus's tattoos, Lila's microphone, all smiling, all hungry. The desert, after all, has always been patient, and the lake is always thirsty.